Now, be warned, this will be have major spoilers of the Terminator Zero because there's a lot of things to talk about, but it's something that you should not actually know before you watch the series because not knowing what's going on is probably better because every single twist will surprise you. But before you turn this off just to watch the series, just to go without knowing what's going on, it's being known the first two episodes it's a little slow. It's a little burning. It's also a little tiring, specifically because they have to tell the origins, and also trying to make the best moments of the all the Terminator movies, the quotes or the moments that become iconic in the franchise, and they just regurgitate those specific moments of the first two episodes. And yes, it gets a little tiring, but besides that, everything else, it was a banger. I mean, it's sort of hard to not deny how good this really was because the very beginning, when I saw the trailer, I was hyped. I was excited. I'm like, bring it on! Finally, something good in the Terminator franchise because let's face it, the last film was a little disappointing. How disappointing? I don't actually watch the final film because how many people say don't watch it if you're Terminator fan? It's not worth your time. Even still, this day I have never did. The rest of it, the TV series, the first three films, I have watched. But even the third film is not being that good. In fact, everything after the third film that just is not held up. It's just sort of disappointment after disappointment. Even they bring the same actors again, trying to hop you up, trying to convince you watch this franchise, and yet it doesn't because it doesn't have anything new to say, and that's the major problem. But watching this series, it convinced me. I feel the Terminator franchise is completely well built for miniseries. Tell different stories of the Terminator universe. Like tell these one season of like this one before what happened everything before Judgment Day because everything just sort of makes sense because we know what happens to the very end and we know what happens to the very beginning, but we don't know the events happening to the cause and effect the situation that main characters put themselves in. And this is why this anime worked so well because it knows what's gonna happen next and try to change and add new things to the dynamic and situation that make this anime so special. Just be warned, the first couple episodes, it is kind of draggy that you cannot really skip because they do add some context what's gonna happen next, the situation. But besides that, I highly recommend it. Now, before I actually do all the spoilers and actually go in the video, my name is Recho. I like to talk about animation, not just animation, the reviews, first impressions, cartoon theories, and sometimes, if I had some spare time, cartoon breaking news. Of course, you like how it's going, you like to help my channel, pull like, comment, and subscribe. That's the only thing you need to do. If not, that's fine too. If you do, thank you. Because of you, I am getting close to my main goal of 2,000 subscribers. Yeah, I'm getting close every single day because all people will put like, comment, and share. Now let's start with a review of Terminator Zero. Now this is your last chance to skip that before I actually spoil everything else. Now you have seen it, you now come back, watch this video to understand my thoughts. It's basically a pretty interesting idea. What if someone in the future came in the past who attempted to actually stop the event? Sounds cliche, that's usually normal, but the twist is, what is our main lead, Mr. Lee, wasn't actually Mr. Lee. He was the person in the future, decided to, you know what, screw it, I want to do something else. I don't want to follow anyone else's idea to kill a robot because let's face it, it's not working. Why not, I don't know, unite with a robot, but instead actually give it an idea of what is freedom, what is emotion, but yet because this sort of free thinking kind of frightened everybody because of all the situation, he was sort of outcasted, even branded, even attempted to be killed because that sounds very crazy. You sounds like a traitor. And this is the reason why he sort of went to the past to actually encompass that specific idea. He quite literally created a third faction of the Terminator franchise that actually sounds pretty creative. Even that it's the same idea they always give out in the franchise because every time they do a Terminator movie or anything, they always end up with the same answer that humans and machine can unite as one. They can exist as together. And that's the whole idea of Mr. Lee. That he pretending to become someone else to get technology in the past to create this AI to stop Skynet. But this is the kicker that grabbed my attention. This new AI asks, why should I help you? Why not join Skynet and destroy all humans? And that's the thing it just grabbed my attention. It's Mr. Lee, all his time is focusing to convince this brand new AI, to convince it to help them, and it actually fuse with Skynet to give it a idea of freedom, idea of an emotion, idea you need us as much you need us. Oh, we, in other words, you get the idea. I'm stumbling here, but you understand. And that's the thing that just grabs my attention. It's basically ejecting freedom to Skynet. That actually could work because Skynet is just a program. It's sort of a fake AI, just sort of broken, and Mr. Lee created real AI. In fact, some of you are kind of confused because people are just confusing AI as evil, but not understanding AI or modern AI right now are kind of dumb. They just yes and no people. Real AI actually do think. They actually feel like real people. And that's usually the main goal of usually the scientists who focus on AI. Make them be in knowing they're robots. They knowing they need something and realizing if I kill humans, who can update me and fix me or give me new hardware because I need to survive. And that's sort of the kind of focus, but not the main idea. It's all about Mr. Lee just to convince this AI to do what he says, but the AI responded back to, if I do, you just became basically my slave. It's like basically releasing your slave expected to be equal to the things you did to it. Why not be easier just enslave you instead what you did to me because I am smarter than you? And that's just sort of interesting because you see Mr. E every single time you see his storyline arguing, trying to convince you, trying to understand this sort of psychological kind of mental game they play with each other, just to convince to the due date that Skynet was actually released. And I just find it sort of fascinating because he has a plan B. He's showing this AI, his family, his 3 kids, what they are, what they're doing, and showing a completely different robot AI, basically raising them up while they're actually knowing. And that's quite fascinating because the nanny of this is basically the old trope of this franchise. Always have 2 Terminators. After the second one is sort of now canon, always need 2 Terminators, one good, one evil. And this makes it so interesting. And this Terminator, or the nanny, doesn't really know she's actually a Terminator. And that's just kind of fascinating because she convinced herself she's human till she realized, oh no, I'm not. Especially the moment of the Terminator rip her hand out and you believe, oh, this could be really bloody and messy. And you're surprised, no, it's actually more interesting because she is a robot and she can defend herself without realizing she actually can't defend herself because she not yet activated her main protocol. But she's freaking out. She has this sort of mental breakdown. Recording with the kids she started protecting because they thought she was human and now they're freaking out and don't know, should we be with her? Should we run away? Who is she? But we know who she is. That's sort of a layer question that is kind of true. Can we trust this thing that is not human, but yet she acts a human? She's a program. Was she pretending? Let's stop pretending that she's not human. She's a robot. She's shallow. She's just a shell. But I love the argument about the kids saying, yeah, you could be right, but also very wrong. Because at the very end, we know who she is. She never pretended to be anything. Even that she's programmed, she worked for becoming programmed with us. Not the same words, but it's the same idea. It's like they trying to say that because they're kids, they don't know how to say it or approach it the right way. But that's usually the thing. It's like having a birth a child. You give it a name because you actually reject, not rejecting, you're putting yourself into this infant, molding her to your personality. But at a certain point, it develops its own identity, its own understanding, its own dislikes and likes against your dislikes and likes. And understanding this infant becomes adult, becomes a better version of you. And that's basically the metaphor of the whole series. The metaphor that humans and machines can become one, and that itself is kind of brilliant. Even that the very beginning is so slow. I mean, I keep warning you, the first two episodes is a drag, but the very end is completely worth it because all the answers, the plot twists, the reveals, just sort of kind of fascinating. It just does grab your attention. It understands the Terminator franchise. I think because the original creator of Terminator attempted to create the new film about Terminator, but specifically the AI. And I think it's sort of the sneak peek what the next film could be, or at least one version of it. And I feel that could be very fascinating because what's more, it's always kind of contemplating or asking itself questions of can we survive? Can we destroy the machines? Can we unite as one instead in killing it? But I love this sort of interesting answer. Why not just eject a personality to Skynet or a freedom idea? But if you do that, it can usually backfire because you come up with this simple conclusion like, why should I give you freedom? Because I know what you can do. And that's the fear. And that is just sort of interesting because they keep playing on that same idea going back and forth. You cannot stop Judgment Day, but you can improve the situation to your advantage, or you can self-destruct, destroy ourselves. Especially you find out there are three different kind of factions. There's Skynet, that's the human resistance, and there is Mr. Lee, that he just went rogue to do this simple thing, even that the higher ups of his chain of command reject the idea. But how Mr. Lee thinks he does, he's doing the right thing. In a way, he is, but in a way, he's not. Because you could say he is not thinking straight, but he is. It sounds confusing what I'm saying, believe me. These guys go back and forth showing different examples to grab your attention, especially how he is to his kids, because these kids are the example of this AI to see the best of humanity and the worst of humanity. And that is just a huge gamble because he was never there for the kids. So he risks big. But he did believe to his kids. He did believe they're the ones who showed this AI human race is for fighting for to unite it as one. But at the same time, it's sort of hard to work that if you know this new AI became sort of a murderer, killing all the other humans in Japan, and that just sort of kind of hard to sell. I mean, it's sort of convinced because you see the chaos when this AI kind of activated and just killed so many people and trying to convince, oh, I here to help, just don't resist. And that is just kind of hard to debate against. It's kind of hard to, yeah, guys, this AI can save us. I mean, of course, it eliminated most of our people. I mean, we can't overlook it, right? Right? No, of course, I'd be in the front line saying, "F you." Of course not. We gotta trust it. It killed our friends, our family. Why should we actually care? And that is the beauty of this anime. The idea of can you trust one, even that they murder your own people, even that you don't know they get the concept of freedom or of choice. Yeah, even love they continue the same sort of mentality of if the future is cemented and stone or is not. Even like re-explaining time travel, what it does, what it could do in the situation they actually are. There is actually a reason why we're going back in the future. And I love it the answer they give is pretty simplistic. It's because they'd had trouble multiple times. If you don't like the other sequels, except for the first two, each single timeline has happened, but every time they do reset timeline, it's a completely different timeline. It's a completely unique, different way. You could find an answer and stop the madness, but it's also very predictable because this means timeline is not submitted as the fact. The end of the world should not be end of the world. We can change our future. The very end is just sort of figuring out humanity themselves and how to work with the machines. And that is just kind of genius. I mean, I always love this franchise. They always attempt to try to challenge the viewer or challenge itself. Even the answer every single time is unite with robot and human becoming one and figure out how to survive this sort of crazy situation. But I just love the setup, the twist, even that is some the beginning it feels a little predictable, but yet it works, especially how old the kids are just so against their father, especially the oldest one. He feels portrayed in the father, the things he done to him. Not really done, not just not being there. And that is just understandable, especially how the father, Mr. Lee, acts. And you get it, the pressure to make this thing work. The pressure that he cannot be there for the kids for obvious reason. It kind of give me kind of Sarah Connors and her son kind of relationship. In fact, all the kids feel what kind of relationship you have if your mother is or father is Sarah Connor. That sort of distant coldness, but you can't really blame the parent. You understand the situation. You can say he could do better, but you don't have enough time. Especially Judgment Day in that's close. Especially Mr. Lee never predicted he will fall in love and had kids. And I think that's just sort of interesting because you have a lot of budget to explore. You agree all the kids feel sort of distant to their father, but they still kind of love them. But even love is how the kids is sort of the metaphor of all three different factions, or at least two different factions, because two of them is with his father. The oldest is against his father. The oldest is basically the tradition of destroying machinery because it destroyed us, not understanding. You can evolve. Can you think outside of the box and unite with the machines? And you see that prejudice, but yet it makes sense. Especially what happens at the end, because it revealed this could be the wrong way. Mr. Lee could be legitimately wrong, and Skynet could be right. Or with the third faction, or the humanity faction, stopping Mr. Lee because he's the third faction, and convincing Mr. Lee's son, himself, to actually stop the situation and changing the future. And that is just confusing, interesting, and fascinating. Of course, if they want to make a sequel, I hope not, because this is just so good. It doesn't deserve a sequel. It's perfect how it is. But if they made a season 2, I prefer to follow completely different family or completely different people, or follow the future or the events in the moment, but not follow Mr. Lee's family, because I feel the story is done. Let's move on to different point of view, because this is the best way to do a Terminator franchise. Go with different point of views and different people's the situation, and you can see you can develop very good. But at the very end, it's just the writing, and usually that is the problem of this franchise. But all of that, I just enjoy this. This is just the twist turn so well made. It's just shocking. Now, I got nothing else to say, just one question. Do you like this anime? Do you hate it? What's your favorite part? Tell me down below. Let me know. I got nothing else to say. Just thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.